Greetings and welcome back to the Better Time Challenge. I'm Sean Episcopo from NoHusbandLeftBehind.com. This week we explore priorities for week 3, and this is something that's very important, I believe, to all of us, right, my friend? Now, before we get started, let's kind of think about yesterday is now history, right? It's come and gone, so there's very little bit we can do with it. So we shouldn't put a whole lot of energy and time and focus on it, right? Maybe some reflection, but not really a whole lot of energy. Tomorrow, likewise, is uncertain. It's not really promised. It's not quite here yet. So I wouldn't put a whole lot of time and energy on that one either. Now, some people would argue that yesterday is very important and tomorrow is very important. But I think we probably will all agree that today is most important. This right now, my friend, is your time to shine. So, if you will, let us focus on what is most important to you right here, right now, today. All right, and as we get started, we have 3 steps that I want to get into to really kind of help you with this area of priorities, what's most important to you. The first step is to identify who and what is most important to you. Now, there's 2 things here we're looking at, my friend. The who is the people, and the what are the things. So there's likely a handful of people that are most important to you right now at this point in your life. And there's probably a handful of things that are very most important to you, at least maintaining them, keeping things moving forward. So if you could try to identify your top 3. Now, if you have one, that's great. If you have 2, that's better. If you have your top 3, that's really, really good. That what is most important to you? So the who and the what are most important to you right now. Now, if you have more than 3, that's even better. We just don't want to get overwhelmed, though. We want to try to work with the most important things right here, right now, today. All right, and then we'll move on to step 2 is to consider when setting aside time for each of those priorities. So you've got a handful of people and a handful of things that are most important to you, right? Well, let's consider when you can actually connect with each of those priorities to make sure things are moving and flowing according to your desire. So maybe there's a certain day, certain time, morning or afternoon, that works out best, especially for the people where you've got to accommodate other schedules. And then the third and final step to consider with this session is once you have that list of the people and the things which are most important to you right now, and you've explored when on your calendar, which day would work out best, now let's schedule where you want and need to be in order to make these things happen. Like certain priorities, certain things you may need to consider taking care of this week. Maybe it's better if you work on those at home. Certain things maybe at work. Maybe certain things you're going to need to look at in your local church or in your community or wherever it may be that you need to go in order to make these things happen. And just kind of keep in mind, my friend, these are priorities that are most important things and people to you that you want to make sure that you put time and energy into before everyone else gobbles up all your time, wanting you to do this, to run here, to do that for them. And then you wind up realizing you ran out a week, you ran out a weekend for the people and the things which matter most to you. Now, let's look at a few examples just to kind of make sure the rubber meets the road, right? We want to make sure this is really super practical, that it's not just theoretical. Now, the first example, let's say that someone doing this exercise said, all right, well, my who is going to be my spouse. In this case, it's the wife. So this person decided my spouse is of utmost importance to me right now here at this point in time, and I want to put some quality time in with my wife. And not just the casual times. This is actually, where you want to have quality time with those people and the things which mean the most, right? So the when they decided tomorrow, right around noon, and since this person is scheduling it with their wife, I would assume that, both of their schedules are going to have to work together because the where, it looks like they're meeting at their favorite park to go out and take a walk. So the really cool thing about this, my friend, is the spouse is always, it really, your life partner should always be a high priority, at least in your top 3, that we're looking at, right? And the when tomorrow shows me that they did not want to wait long, because if you schedule it out, a week, 2 weeks, a month, before you know it, you just don't wind up doing it. So that's pretty good. And then the where, it says our favorite park, meaning that it was not just something that this individual decided on, but it looks like there was enough thought that went into it so that both people could actually enjoy this particular get together. And the walk, I guess, is great. Perhaps that's a walk and talk, perhaps that's a walk holding hands, whatever it is, it looks like it's going to be a positive thing for both of them. Now let's look at a second example. This one's going to be very different. So instead of a who, this is going to be a what. So this is not a person, it's going to be a thing. And this particular example, the person put in truck. Well, that might sound funny to you to go from a spouse, to go from a wife to a truck, from one example to the next. It might seem a little bit radical. Now, of course, remember, these are two different people, more than likely, that are looking at their priorities right here, right now, today. But it could be that you might have, uh, you know, more than one of these examples that really fits in your schedule. So the truck is the priority at this point now. When today means they really got to take care of. They're not putting it off even till tomorrow. And the where, they identified mechanic. So by this, we can look at this and say, well, the truck is not what they're in love with, at the same level that a person would be, the spouse. But if the truck's not starting, granted, that is a problem. Or if it's not running right to where you cannot rely on it, it needs to be dealt with today, right? Or at least as soon as possible. And since the person's not able to fix this on their own, a mechanic has to be called, somebody that knows how to get it done and get it back on the road as soon as possible. All right, let's look at a third example. This one's also going to be a who, like our first example, with a spouse, except for this one now is going to be a parent. In this case, it's going to be a mom. Now, the when, we're looking at, they decided they can wait until the weekend. This one's not pressing today or tomorrow, but they decided, and maybe it's because of both schedules, with work and other conflicting things. But the when is the weekend, and the where is, it says her house for cleaning. So we can get a lot out of this. And, we don't want to draw too much out of this because this is people's personal lives. And what you decide to do with your time is your choice, my friend. I want you to stay in the driver's seat the entire time. And I think this one is to be commended. So anybody that has that kind of relationship with a parent, in this case, a mom, and in your case, it could be a dad or an in-law, and if you can put that time in to help them over at their house, maybe with cleaning, like in this case, or if you want to help do some shopping with them, or whatever it is, whatever they need, it's a beautiful thing for you to prioritize what's most important to you, the people and the things which you feel you need to spend quality time with to make sure things are at their best. Like I said earlier, before everyone else takes all your time from you or is expecting you to do everything else for them. All right, my friend, I want to wrap up by saying if you enjoyed this quick training video, consider subscribing to our YouTube channel and be on the lookout for other videos. And the last thing I want to mention is that we do have additional resources available at our website, nohusbandleftbehind.com. I want to thank you for putting time in, setting aside a time to spend some quality time with me. I'm happy that you're interested in making things better, taking control of your time, and doing the things which mean the most to you. God bless.